type a 7 in the chat, okay? But let's go ahead, Mike. Mike, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Would you mind just like introducing yourself to the people and let them know who you are, what you do, and why, how we got to talking today?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and thank you for having me on, Chiagozie, and thanks everyone for showing up to kind of hear what we got to say. My name's Michael Byars. I grew up in a small little town here in South Carolina. Grew up, we had what we needed. We didn't really have what we wanted. Pretty 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 poor over here. I grew up in a little single wide mobile home with no heat or air till I was about 15 or 16. But I did pretty well in school and was able to get a full ride scholarship to Clemson University for chemical engineering. While I was there, I ended up starting a little tech company and ended up dropping out of college after about a year and a half to concentrate on the tech company. It started doing pretty good, and I'd saved up a little money. I bought my first business when I was 21. And after that, it was just, man, it was so much different than the startup world. I started the tech company. It was just a grind uphill the whole way until I finally got some momentum. When I bought that company, I was like, man, this is the ticket here, because I didn't have that grind. Everything was already set up, running, and I walked into cash flow day one. But, you know, I ran that company for about 10 years, ended up selling it, buying another company, and it was a turnaround. That the second company I bought was the company that made me never want to do a turnaround ever again in my life. I bought it. We were losing about $4,000 a week, and I was able to turn it around and resell it 13 months after I bought it, and we had netted over $1 million in that 13-month period. So I turned it around, but it was more work than the startup. With those two exits, I had a little money sitting aside, so I got into some real estate, started buying single family homes. Now I've got about 185 of those, all debt free. I don't have any debt on any of those. But as I was buying those homes, I started figuring out, hey, I need to start buying companies that kind of vertically integrate me in that real estate space. So I bought a property management company. Now we manage about 850 homes, including my 185. But as I was going through the motions there, I got to see it every 12 to 18 months. I'd kind of analyze where I was spending the money and I'd go buy one of those companies. I've got a plumbing company, I've got a heating and air company, I've got a forestry motion company, I've got a construction company, I've got a rehab company. Anything really in that real estate space there for the rentals in my area, I've got one of those type of companies. But as I started buying them, I started understanding, a lot of these businesses in that price range, that $1 to $5 or $6 million range, they have the same problems. So I got to doing a little experiment. So I bought some just random stuff. I bought a mailbox store. I mean, I've got that. I bought a chemical company. I bought a ton of random stuff, and I've been able to scale it just through technology and systems and processes. So we'll be talking a lot about that tonight. But like Chiagozie said, the total for all the companies I've sold probably 55 to 60 companies. I still have 21 under management currently. We'll do somewhere between 140 and 145 million a year throughout all the companies. So, I'm buying the companies, generating the cash flow, preserving the cash flow over here in the real estate. So
Nice.
that's the 30,000 foot view on me. Be glad to answer any questions any of you guys have as we go through.
I'm glad that how you mentioned that real estate part. How many people here are like into real estate or have some interest in real estate, are thinking, how does business compare with real estate? Type let's see where you are. Type an 8 in the chat. I forget what numbers they are at sometimes. Okay, all right. I see my real estate folks. Okay, so Mike, let's talk about the real estate part because before before I met you, right?
Right.
I was really like knee deep. I'm probably still am actually into the real estate stuff. But I mean, I could kind of see that the math was mathing, but it wasn't mathing fast enough. It wasn't
Right.
mathing like I would like it to. Like, hurry up and do this thing, right?
Right.
And then I heard like your thesis on the real estate, and I was like, that's the
Makes
missing
sense.
piece. So let's kind of break it down and just compare real estate um, acquisitions, returns, all of that to what happens when you buy a business. What's the different pros and cons since you have both? Like you're doing both of them pretty well, but like how do they compare?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy both of them, but in a business, I'm going to make 30% profit margin. In real estate, I'm going to make 10 to 12, right? Depending on what tenant tears up what, or, what breaks, you know, heating and air, plumbing, does the hot water heater explode this month? You know, Same concept. And, I've got a video going through explaining all of that stuff and a slide. If you want, I can pull that up and kind of walk you through it, and then we can kind of discuss the rest of it afterwards. I think that video kind of shows it pretty well.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
All right, let me share my screen there. You guys can see that?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. With the mastermind, we have a lot of real estate investors coming in. So, a lot of times we compare what we do with real estate because we're from the real estate space with about 175 single family homes. Here, as you can see, for 5 single family homes, if we bought them at $100,000 a piece, you got $500,000 for your initial purchase price. 20% down leaves you at the $100,000 down payment mark. 3.5% interest for 30 years. Principal and interest would give you $1,750 a month. Taxes $1,000 a month. Insurance $875 a month. And your rent at the 1% rule is going to be $5,000 per month. You subtract out all the expenses, that leaves you a net cash flow of $1,375 per month. Times 12 months leaves you with about $16,500 per year of net cash flow. Whereas a business acquisition, you have $1 million purchase price, 10% down is the same 100,000 as you have over here with your single family homes. 30% cash flow business, which is what we like, leaves you with 900,000 financed at 5% for 10 years, which leaves you with a $10,200 per month payment. That's $122,400 annual debt service, $300,000 annual net profit. $300,000 profit minus $122,400 debt service leaves you with $177,600 net profit per year versus the $16,500 net profit that you get off the same investment into the single family home. As you can see, the difference in the net cash flow from the business versus the real estate is huge. You have the same initial investment for real estate versus a business acquisition, but you've got almost 10 times the net profit.
Nice. That was the video that I saw that sort of like
Oh, huh?
clicked it for me. I'm not sure if it was this exact one or maybe just like a similar demo that you did. Probably I'm doing your live event, and I was like, wait a minute,
Right,
wait a hot minute right here.
right. Pretty strong numbers.
Yeah. And then you said something that you basically make the money with businesses
Mhm.
and then you can park it in real estate.
Right.
And it made so much sense because when I look around, I see that a lot of people who are doing big things in real estate, most of them, if you observe very carefully, have a primary like income
They're in the
churn.
business world. Right.
And I was like, that's the part no one's talking about. Like we all talk about, oh my gosh, they have like 1,000 doors, they have whatever doors, but they have a different business model operating on the back end that's funding the real estate, and then they're preserving it in there. But then you built your business portfolio based on verticals from the real estate, right?
Some of it, yeah.
How did you decide on which businesses to go after, like which ones to like what industries to even start looking? Because some people are here thinking, okay, well, that sounds interesting enough, but like what kind of business should I even buy?
So for me, when I was trying to vertically integrate, I would just go through the P&Ls at the property management company I go through them once a month, but I would take every 12 to 18 months, see what I'd spent the most money with, and then I would go buy one of those companies. I like
Mm,
buying the guys that we were currently dealing with
nice.
just because I knew the employees, I knew their track record, I knew they gave us good service. So, and I knew that the owners were solid people, right? One thing you got to understand with buying these businesses is if the owner's a train wreck, I'll promise you that business is a train wreck. So for me, it was more about, as I was buying something, I wasn't just buying it. I was buying it for cash flow, but not just for cash flow.
Mm,
I'm buying the employees. I'm buying, the assets, the trucks, if it's Chuck in a truck and he shows up in a beat up 1987 Chevrolet, half runs, you got to jump start him before he can leave. That probably ain't the guy you want to buy, right? But if they got nice equipment, you can tell they take care of it.
hmm
That's that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like what you said there about there was a business that we looked at, flew all the way down to Texas, to Harlingen, Texas, and it seemed really good on paper, but then by the time we got there, they had like it was a party rental company, and they had the party stuff in the same space as they had all the heavy equipment like oil and smell and all of that. And I remember a mentor of mine then said, "No, we can't buy this. Like it's like it needs a lot of work. It has a lot of deferred maintenance." And I was like, "That's not a problem." But then in retrospect, I'm now like, "That's what he was seeing. That's what he was seeing." So now, when you look at businesses, can you tell us that just like some ways that you, other than just that hunch that you get, after having built experience, just even as a beginner, how do you screen these businesses? What criteria do you have for going through the businesses and saying, you know what, not this one, not that one? Like, how do you pick up which businesses you actually go after?
Yeah, so I'm not going to buy anything less than $1 million. I really like that 1 million to about $7 million range. I want it to have 10 employees. I want it to have been in business for 10 years or longer. You know, and you're looking for those things just because you're looking for stability, right?
Mm-hmm.
95% of startups fail in the first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know if it makes it 10 years, I got a pretty good chance of it continuing on. If I got 10 employees and let's say it's a husband and wife team in there and the wife is going to leave when the husband does. Now I'm down to eight at purchase price or at purchase time. Eight from 10 isn't horrible. It's not good, but it's not bad. But if you've got three employees and two of them are owners, now you're down to one. Now you're in a
Mm-hmm.
real bad spot. So, and I'm looking in that $1 to $7 million range because private equity, they're not going to buy anything less than $2 million worth of EBITDA, which is
Mm-hmm.
going to take you about that $6, $7 million range. And when I start at the $1 million range, it's too expensive for chucking the truck,
Mm-hmm.
right? The little one-man band or two-man band, they can't afford that $1 million purchase price. So right there in the middle, there's a cool little spot that nobody's really shopping in.
Hmm. So basically, you exclude yourself from the higher end market, which is where the private equity folks that like, a gazillion dollars are bidding up the price, which I've actually seen. It's a lot harder to get deals in that range because then they outbid you with like crazy multiples and things like that. But then you're also above the mom and pop
Right.
buyers, the people that are buying to work in the business, the people that are buying just for their own livelihood, right? And it puts you in a nice sweet spot because you know how to finance and all of that to be able to now sort of pitch your tent in that central area. So I want to make sure that
Right.
those listening caught all the criteria that you mentioned. So you mentioned the revenue. Um, can you just kind of go over one more time, just like why you pick? Oh no, you just said that actually. You said 1 to 7 million is why you do that. But then the next one now is your employee count, right? You mentioned that it's 10 people or more because people
Right.
leave. Did you mention the profit margin?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for something that's 25 to 30% plus profit margin. You know, also another thing with staying in that $1 to $7 million range, SBA will finance up to 5 million bucks on
Okay.
a small business with only 10% down. So that's another reason you stay right there in that range.
So SBA is the Small Business Association, right? That's what it is. Yeah, right.
Administration, but yeah,
Administration.
it's
I
a
was like, no, association. That doesn't sound right. That's a
it's
small.
a government-backed entity, kind of like Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac for
Yeah.
housing.
So they guarantee these loans for the banks. So the banks are willing to do these loans and so but then the fun part actually that I learned from you guys was that they'll do this for 10% down.
Right. And they'll also the banks like doing SBA loans because the SBA will guarantee 30% of the loan or 70% of the loan.
70%.
So if you pay 3 years on that loan, the bank's off the hook.
Hmm.
If you pay 3 years and a month and you default on it, the SBA will cover your default. Now they're gonna put it on your credit and take anything you got as collateral. So that's not a good game plan if that's what you were thinking. But you know, that's why banks like doing those loans.
So a quick clarification here from Namdi is the range 1 million to 7? Is that the purchase price or the revenue? Just for those who are listening.
The purchase price.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so um top line, I think the other side to it though is that the purchase price oftentimes will end up matching the revenue too, right? Oftentimes.
Sometimes it just depends on what it is, right?
Yeah. But then for your cutoff though, are you using 1 million asking price or 1 million in revenue as your floor?
They've got to be doing at least $1 million in revenue
Okay.
with 30+% for me to get down that low.
Yeah.
Because if you take debt on it, if you take debt on $1 million, you're looking at $160,000 a year
Debt
in
service.
payments, debt service. Yeah, I mean, if it makes 200 grand, I mean, I can go get a job at the Chick-fil-A for 40,000 a year and not have any headaches, right? So
Yep.
the numbers have got to be. It's got to have a real strong profit margin if I'm going to buy something that's that cheap.
Yeah. Now, now,
Let me stop you there. They asked, would this be a advisable range for starters? Yes, I wouldn't go any lower than $1 million.
yeah.
None, because once you get down there with Chuck in a truck and Dan in a van, and now you're bidding back and forth there, and there's not enough money to cover debt service. I mean, if you buy something for $500,000 that's netting, let's say 150 grand a year, your debt service is 80 grand.
That's just 70K.
Now you net 70 grand a year after debt service. I mean, you probably go get you a job at the Walmart and make that.
Yeah. And you know, as we were talking now, it occurred to me to kind of highlight this that a lot of us are coming from the real estate world where like annual net of 20K, we're excited. We're like, oh my gosh, that property made me $20,000. But the fact is, you worked on that property for a whole year, and all you made was $20,000. So like there's like a whole mindset like reset that needs to happen. Um, that needs to happen, particularly for people that have never earned money outside of their clinical work, to understand that like you can buy these businesses and generate meaningful income, meaningful income. So yeah, we'll take more of the questions even as we get even closer to the end. But I want to actually ask a question to the audience, okay? A few of you mentioned goals when we first started. Some said financial freedom, some said cutting back, I think, cutting back at work or all these other things. Put a number in the chat. What number will make that possible for you? Those of you who said financial freedom or whatever, okay, Frankie's like 30K a month, give it to me. 30K a month, right? I know you put percent, but I know you meant K, right? Who else? Type a number in the chat. Like what number will help you hit that goal? What will be your initial like monthly cash flow? Because we're talking meaningful income here. Because in the next section that we'll be going into, we'll be using these numbers that you give me to see if we can get, if you can find something that possibly matches those numbers, right? So that way it becomes a tangible thing. Okay, let's make this tangible. Okay, so I'm seeing 30K a month, 40K a month, another 40K a month. Somebody said, I'll be all right with 25K a month. Just a little, 25K a month. I love it. I love it. Okay. So I'm gonna bring out my trusty calculator here. And I should probably charge this phone. But let me just, I'll use a few numbers here. So 30K a month will be roughly 360 a year. Sounds about right, 20K a month will be about 240 a year. 40K a month, about 480, 500 a year. So that as we start to sort of kind of see deals that are on the market, you can compare them to the numbers that you just mentioned. Okay. So 30K a month, 25K a month, because what we're going to do now is basically reverse engineer your goals. Okay. So somebody type goal directed. Uh-huh. We do goal directed management in the ICUs. We do goal directed management when we're buying businesses too. Okay. So I've only seen, I don't know, 7 goals here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goals. Only 8 people have goals on this call. I don't know. 8 people. All right. So let's take a look at a few businesses that are on the market even right now to see if we can find something that possibly hits Vanessa's goal of 30K a month. Let's start with Vanessa's goal. And then we can maybe, and you know what actually for the next one, somebody type a city like where you are. Cassandra is there. Cassandra is coming. I think Cassandra is coming for Catalyst. All right. All right. So the first that hit here was Baltimore. My beautiful Be More, inner city. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's do Baltimore.
All right. Share my screen there.
Yep. Uko is like, I don't know about all these people talking about 30K a month. I'm gonna go to 100. Okay. I love it. Love it. Uko did not come here to play. Uko did not come here to play. Love all of it. All right.
All right. You
Yeah.
guys can see the screen there.
Yes, you can see the screen.
So before we go do that, let's just look at what all's available in the US today.
So Mike has this proprietary software that he built out for his team. That that is so cool when you use it because it actually like scrapes the internet like every 4 hours and it helps you just like find businesses. And when we're done, we'll talk about a way to get possible access to it, but we'll just talk about that at the end. But yeah, let's see. So
All
where
right.
are we now? Baltimore?
Well, in the US today, there's 24,975 businesses for sale that are listed. So, if I hear people all the time, oh, I can't find anything. Well, it's because you're not looking, right? So let's look at Baltimore here. Here goes.
I love how we do this
Man,
live. Like,
here goes this office equipment rental. They want $3 million for it. They getting 830,000 a year in cash flow. They got 19 employees. Let's look at some details. They're established in 2007. But check this number out: 1,050,000 FF&E. FF&E is furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And with the new laws, you can write all that off year one.
Yep, tax savings.
That's it. So, and businesses being SBA lender pre-qualified, you know, you can get financing on it. They're going to want 300 grand down. That's a good one. If you guys are up near there, I mean, I'd look at that guy. If you guys are in the construction business, well, that's low employees.
And that one has 3 employees.
Yeah.
Oh, that
This
one's
may not be
painting.
bad.
Yeah.
Painting business and real estate, they're netting 918. They want 3.3 for it. They got 18 employees. I'm sure they got some trucks, $200,000 worth of FF&E and $150,000 worth of inventory. They were opened in 1970, you know, and the owner is willing to hold $500,000 on the deal, which is all right.
That's some creative financing there.
That's it. Let's see
Hmm.
what this one is. Um,
Let's see. Look at the home remodeling one. Actually, that's not bad. Maybe the margin is not doesn't meet 25, but they're asking
yeah, the
just
margin's good. The
yeah,
margin's 45, 50.
yeah.
And they got 325 in FF&E. They're
Nice.
for 950 ask price.
That's actually not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. There goes the HVAC company. They want 3.7 for it. It's cash flow in 1.4.
I like that one.
It doesn't show the employees, but it wouldn't hurt to reach out.
Yeah.
Where's another state we can look? We can't look at cities.
So yeah, let me pull up the chat here. Let me see who was second on that list. Okay, Houston. Houston always gets love on these sessions.
Yeah.
People love Houston. Either that or Houstonians type really fast.
All right. Here's a decent one. Lumber and hardware store. They want 3.2. Cash flow is 1 point, right at 1.4. That's probably a pretty good one.
Mm.
Here goes this. We've looked at this one before. That OBGYN clinic.
Oh yeah.
They want their cash flow in half of the asking price.
Wow.
You know, 2-year payback. Sign me up.
So basically, you put down 120 in that first year. Actually, if you're a physician
You get
buying this,
4x on your money.
yeah, if you're a physician buying this, you can put down zero down on this one and make 663 in your first year. Interesting.
Yeah. It's not bad. Furniture store and designer. A little light on the employees.
Hmm.
I don't know about that, but
So those of you that posted your goal amounts, like Jemina or Jemina, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Emmanuel, Mika, Priyash. Can you see any businesses so far? Have you seen any businesses so far that will totally cover that goal even after debt service?
I mean, here goes any of you guys that are pediatricians. It's a little light on the ask price, but the cash flow is real good. I mean, they looking for 750. You got 10 employees, cash flow in 470. If you have a clinic near Houston, it might not be a bad little bolt on for you.
So somebody asked what was the name of the clinic in Houston. So basically, if you found any of these deals, you basically put in a request to the broker, and then they'll send you a non-disclosure agreement. When you sign it, then they'll give you the name of the clinic. Then they'll give you the name of the practice or whatever it is of the business.
Right.
That, yes, Ken, that is cash flow per year. Yes. that is cash flow per year. All right, so let's take the next city here. I think the next state was yay, Cassandra. She said she is in. Love it. Okay, so Edward says Virginia. I'm loving how my Catalyst folks are already like they're like here, ready to go.
All right.
Okay, this is Virginia.
This might not be, I think their ask price is a little high on this,
Mm,
but it might not be a bad deal. If you could work that price down a little bit. That window and door installation contractor, a little light on the employees,
yeah.
but let me go.
Well, that's a pharmacy. Look at the pharmacy.
Yeah, they want a little too much for it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like 4.5.
Here goes the HVAC company. They want 4 million for it. It's cash flowing $1 million a year.
Nice.
That ain't bad. Um, Manufacturing company, a little high on that, but probably work it down.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay. Maybe we can do one more in North Carolina. We've never done Jersey. So let's do North Carolina and then we do Jersey and then
all right. There's some good stuff in North Carolina. I'm in South
yeah.
Carolina, so I'm always looking. I'm real close to Charlotte, North Carolina, so I'm always looking right across the line.
Hmm. So someone was asking like do you favor businesses that are closer to you? Like what's your take on the distance?
I mean, I always like something that's closer because I can go to it more.
Yeah.
But I own stuff all across the country. I'm in 10 states currently.
Mm,
So, you know, I mean, I like it closer because I can go hang out there and get to know the people, but it doesn't have to be next door,
hmm.
you know.
So we're in North Carolina now.
Yep. This
And let's
electrical
see.
company is not bad. And
Okay.
I've actually looked at that with another student.
Okay.
It's a pretty decent deal.
Nice.
Um, this cleaning company, that's up there near Winston-Salem.
Mm.
Or not Winston-Salem, Raleigh.
Ah,
But 40
you.
employees,
Yeah.
you know. Um, let's see. Here goes the medical practice. It's
Mm.
not too bad. I'm not sure where Craven County is, but
All our integrated medicine folk, functional stuff. That's probably even cash based, considering the way all these integrated functional medicine stuff runs.
yep. Um,
Yeah.
this might not be bad too. Transportation and logistics.
Mm-hmm.
Trucking's never going out of business.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's talk briefly actually because I'm not even sure we even got to this about how how do you run these businesses if you're not in them, right? Like you own a plumbing company, HVAC, you own all these things, but like do you go learning how to become a plumber and then buy the company? How do you do that?
Absolutely not. I'm buying something with a good quarterback there, a good operator. The operator is the key to any of these deals. I can't, like I told you guys, I'm in 10 states. I can't be in 10 places at one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, eh, your operator is your key to making any of this stuff work.
Mm. So you look for businesses where there is an operator in place. Who is this operator usually?
It's either the old owner,
Mm-hmm.
someone in my network I can inject into there after the sale,
Mm-hmm.
or the number two guy, I want to move him to number one.
So basically, like the owner that's selling usually has like a right hand man or a manager in the business, and you just kind of like promote them to be like you're it.
Right. And that's why you're looking for that something with 10 employees
Mm-hmm.
and at least $1 million, because if it's much smaller than that, normally the owner is doing everything. He is everything to everyone, and he's probably got one or two helpers. Once you get a bigger company, they've already got that infrastructure in place, and that's what you're buying.
Mm-hmm.
You're buying that infrastructure.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw a question that I just could not leave for the end because I was like, Ken asks, if there are employees, how do you calculate your personal cash flow?
So you're buying it on the profit and loss. The employees are already figured in there.
The employees already counted for, so this is your money.
Right.
This is your money. What we're seeing as cash flow here is your money. This is after all the employees are accounted for. Love it. Love it. Can you guys see how how this can be a much more meaningful use of your extracurricular time, right? Like you
Yeah.
can spend your time buying 50 doors and dealing with 50 tenants, or you can buy one business, hire the right-hand man or the owner or somebody else in your network to run the business. You can keep practicing if you like. If you like, you can do other things or whatever. But now that one transaction generates you 400,000, 600,000 in cash flow before or after debt service, however you want to, count your math. Can you guys see how much, like how powerful this is? Type a me in the chat if you can see if this is starting to like open your eyes a little bit. Let me just get some feedback from the room. Okay, Priyesh. All right, I like you, Ugo. Okay. Type a me in the chat if this is like coming home and you're going like yes, yes, okay. Okay, love it. Love it. Okay, let me go pull up those questions so that I keep my promise. Where is Millie? Millie, post this thing in the chat to me directly, please, because I can't find what you sent me as my text. I don't know. I want to kind of stay on one screen. Let's see. Let's see the easiest way to pull up the remaining questions. I've been answering the questions as we've been moving along, but just in case I missed any. Ebony said, "Do you accept tips, girl? I like you. I like you." All right, let me see. Oh, there was one question here actually that I don't think is something like what. Thank you, Millie. What multiple of cash flow do you usually go for? Like it says in relation to the purchase price. In other words, if I see a business that's generating, let's just say 500K in cash flow, where should I usually be? How do you figure that out? Is that even a thing? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So multiple is a thing, but it's not a thing. If that
Yes.
makes sense. It's
Mhm.
not something that you're going to set your watch by. It's a good gauge, but I'm never going to buy off of strictly multiple. Normally, what you're seeing in that $1 to $2 million range, you're looking at a 2 to 2.5x multiple of the net profit. If you get over about that $2 million range, you're going to get to that 3x.
Mm.
You get to the $5 million range, you're probably looking at a 4x.
Yeah. And like the higher you go, so basically the higher you go, the more people are willing to pay in terms of multiples. The
Correct,
lower
because
you go, yeah.
it's steadier. It's got
Mm-hmm.
more infrastructure. You're buying infrastructure. You're buying systems, operations, processes. You're buying. That's what you're paying for,
Yeah.
right? So the bigger the company is, the more stable it is. I'm gonna overpay for stability every time.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Another question that came up here was, what do you think about franchises? What's your thought on franchises?
They're not for me. Franchises tell you how much you can spend on marketing, and I don't believe in that. For me, I mean, I've got companies that, in the past we spent $150,000 a month on marketing.
Mm,
You're not going to tie me to something and say, oh, well, you've got to send us your $4,000 a month for marketing, and that's all we're going to spend, and we're going to spread that out across the United States. No, thanks. I'm not interested.
hmm.
You know, I want to figure out what my cost per customer acquisition is, and it's at that point it's just a multiple of ad spend. How much ad spend can I spend?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I mean, I've looked at some franchises and I'm like, wow, this looks really good. And then I kind of see all their limitations and restrictions. Like that was I think that was one that I showed you, the glass company a few months ago. Great company, but guess what? Their territory excluded my house. And I was just like 10, 15 minutes from there. So I'm like, what the heck? My neighborhood is a good neighborhood. I want to sell to my neighbors. But guess what? Unless I buy the next territory, then I can't market to my neighbors. I'm like, looks like a great business, but that's the catch right there.
Right.
That's the catch right there. Okay. So let me see if there are any other questions here, because I mean, I feel like people are like picking up how you're putting down there. Let's see. All right. Okay. So, guys, in our brief time together this evening, right? We have now shown you how how first of all, we showed you kind of how real estate compares with business acquisition, right? If you remember that whole thing, type a 10 in the chat, right? Um, we've also shown you how with one transaction, not 50 doors, not 150, not like, three little, 10 little single family homes, you could potentially replace your clinical income, maybe just add something that can help you maybe cut down on work, maybe go part-time, maybe go 50%, right? We've also shown you how you can like structure the business, put that key manager in place and have that person run the business, right? Like type your big ahas, right? So Ezekiel is saying, are you saying there are disadvantages? That's exactly what he's saying, Ezekiel.
Let me explain what I'm saying there. That way everybody understands, okay? I think there's places for franchises out there. If if you if you've never had a business, you don't know anything about systems, operations, processes, any of that type stuff, franchises are kind of like a business in a box, right? You're not going to make a whole lot of money, but you're going to make enough money for them to kind of keep you there, keep you open, keep you doing the thing. If you're looking to make real money, I wouldn't do a franchise. Myself, I wouldn't buy a franchise, but franchises have their place, right? I mean, that company I bought was a chemical company. They were a franchisor. I had franchisees under me. You know, I got to see a lot about what that world was like, and I mean, all it is it's a babysitting act, right?
Yeah.
You, as a franchisor, you're babysitting the franchisees because a lot of them are first time business owners. They just don't really understand. You got to break it down like an eighth grader,
Mm.
right? But because you got to babysit them, there's certain parameters you have to have in place. Where like managing their marketing, managing a lot of the stuff. You just got to have that in place as a franchisor. If not, they won't do any marketing. So I don't know.
There are a few more questions here, but I wanted to sort of touch on this real quick. Okay, so two quick questions here. So if you don't have expertise in the business, how do you troubleshoot when things go wrong? Mike still cannot fix a toilet.
Nope, I can't change your sink, fix your toilet. It's all about hiring the right people. It's all about hiring that right quarterback. Let them do what they're good at.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, a lot of you guys are doctors in here.
Mm-hmm.
If your neighbor gets sick, they don't try to become a doctor overnight so they don't die. They go to the doctor.
You go to the doctor. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Hire the doctor.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about it right now that like if you're a surgeon and you're in the OR, like just because something went wrong with the anesthesia part doesn't mean you need to become an anesthesiologist. Stay out of the way and let the anesthesiologist deal with that airway. That's about the thing. So basically you hire the person that's going to be that person tackling the questions that come up in the business so that you don't
Correct.
have to be the know it. Like I think a lot of us are used to being the expert in the room when it comes to business, like and even in real life, honestly, like you don't have to be the expert. You
No,
just be the owner and hire one.
you do
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. And then someone is saying, how about the saying that you only invest in a business that you only know about? Who said that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I've got a bunch of stuff that I don't know how to do the thing, but I know enough about business to keep the wheels on the bus.
Yeah.
And I know enough about, hiring the right people and putting them in the right place and staying out of their way
Yeah.
that I can still generate revenue, right? I don't have to go change your toilet and your faucet.
Yeah. All right. So let's kind of, summarize what we've gone over today to kind of like bring it all home because, by the time, as we discuss, as I ask questions, sometimes a few things are kind of like, filtered through. So we've talked about the comparison between real estate and businesses. We've talked about how with one transaction you could possibly replace your clinical or main job, 9 to 5 type income. We've talked about hiring that key person so that if anything, like, doo-doo hits the fan, somebody else is catching that doo-doo, not you, right? And then we even touched on things like SBA funding where you can do 10% down. And most importantly, though, I think the one that's most important to me is being able to do this without having to create a second, job for yourself. You don't have to necessarily show up every single day. You can manage to still have a life, but basically be at the top, at the top of the food chain. Um, Now, knowing what you know now, though, okay, type a yes in the chat. Type a yes in the chat. Um, do you feel after what you've heard so far, do you feel like you could like you would want to harness the power of businesses to grow your cash flow, grow your net worth? Type a yes in the chat. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing a bunch of yeses. I'm seeing a bunch of yeses. Okay, second question. Are you happy you came for the training today? Type a yes in the chat. Let me see that yes. If that's true, right? Because we've gone over like the 5 criteria for that Michael uses to filter the businesses. Profit, sorry, revenue numbers, because that's kind of puts him in a nice happy space. The employees, he mentioned the employees because you want to have people in case anybody leaves. The more employees, the more stability generally. If you have fewer employees, they can leave. Let's see. You talked about the profit margin, 25%. So you have room to actually make some money. um, Talked about, anyway, having the quarterback as well. All right. So the next question is, do you realize the advantage you now have in the marketplace if you now know this information? Like now you know that for the same down payment, you could buy a short term rental. I love my short term rentals, but you now know that for the same down payment that they're buying that pretty house, you can buy a pretty cash flowing business. Type a yes in the chat if you can see the advantage that this information gives you. Okay, okay, and okay, if you use just a fraction of this information, let's just say it was the just the revenue, cri- criteria, and you actually bought a deal, it will be money well spent. Oh, sorry, time well spent. Type a yes in the chat if you think so. If you got even one piece of information that you think will be useful if you saw a deal, okay? Because a lot of you here, physicians, guess what's going to happen? People out there are now buying businesses. Guess what's going to start happening? They're going to start bringing deals to you to look at, to say, hey, would you mind funding my deal? Okay. But now Mike has given you simple 5 questions that you can now ask anybody and be like, okay, how many people are in the business? What's their cash flow, right? Like, how much are they making? Who's their key person when the seller leaves? And just with those 5 questions, you can screen off a ton of things and not get yourself in crazy doo-doo. All right. And now, would you want to spend even more time together, me, Mike, the rest of the team, going deeper and further on how to make businesses a solid part of your portfolio and network? Type a yes in the chat. Type a heck yeah for all you care. Type a heck yeah in the chat if you want to hear about how you could possibly, spend a little more time with Mike and the team and all. Ken is like, yes, get me going. Yes, love it. Nice to meet you, Ken. You're my people, okay? Love it. Okay. All right. So as we were putting this together, um, like I said, Mike and I are fairly busy people. Like we just came back from swimming practice. Mike runs 20 businesses and still able to make our time. We're like, how can we make this valuable for people? And as if you've been to any of these before, we want to make sure that when you come in the hour and a half that you spend with us, that you get value. Okay. But we also know we make no pretenses. We know that sometimes a little information may be more dangerous than than nothing. Okay, so what we have done now is basically now we now are able to now present you with two choices. Okay, that you can take this information. Honestly, you can take the information, basically go on biz buy sell, go find yourself a business, find a broker, go to a bank, SBA loan, buy yourself a business. Okay, but we know that there are a lot of nuances, there are pitfalls, there are things, and all of that. So, would you like to hear about what we have put together to possibly help you go a little deeper, go a little further with this journey called buying a business? Type a one in the chat if that's you, if you like to hear about it, and then I'll go into it. If you want. Okay, Ken is like, yeah, I'm not missing this for anything. It's the same thing that I saw Cassandra here. Cassandra is coming. I saw Edward here. Edward is coming. I saw even Nami. Nami's going to be in our virtual crew. Love, love, love seeing you guys. All right. So for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to tell you guys about what we have put together. It is called Catalyst Bootcamp. Heck yeah. I love you, Ezekiel. Yeah, I love it. All right. So Catalyst Bootcamp, Catalyst Business Acquisition Bootcamp is our 3-day in-person conference bootcamp, whatever you want to call it. Not conference, because conference, when you hear conference, is like rah-rah. Bootcamp is like, let's get it done, right? We're going to be right here in Syracuse, New York. If you can get to JFK, you can get here. And anybody in the United States can get to JFK, okay? Syracuse, New York, September 12th through the 14th. 12th through the 14th. And we are going to be here in a 3-day bootcamp where you are going to learn how to, number one, find profitable cash flowing businesses. So Mike just walked through a nice demo of his software, but you will learn both how to find, fund, scale, and exit cash flowing businesses. On the find end of things, you will learn how to find them, whether they are for sale or not yet. Okay, that is called finding them on market or off market. Who would like to find a deal that the owner doesn't even know it's for sale yet? Type a 2 in the chat. Who would like to find a deal that the owner doesn't even realize is for sale yet? You talk to them and then they're like, oh, I wasn't even thinking of that. Yeah. Because the deal that Chelsea found, Chelsea, the one we sent you in the email about, and we can send it out again if you haven't seen it, the deal she found was not for sale yet. She reached out to them and was like, hey, want to sell your business? And it took about 8 months of working that deal. But guess what? She was not competing with the mass market because she had learned from Mike how to go about getting those deals directly. Okay, so you learn how to find on-market deals. You learn how to find off-market deals. Okay, you learn how to screen them. So deal analysis is pretty huge. We went through our top level 5 criteria, but guess what? When you like those 5 criteria are just like they're like the cream on the top, right? That's how you like just filter through. Mike's team goes over 3,000 businesses a year. For me, at night when I'm like, it's usually Sunday night for some reason. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But Sunday night, usually I sit with my phone and I'm just swiping through and screening through using those 5 criteria. How much money is it making? How many employees? How many this? How many that? And I'm screening and I'm discarding. But when I then put in the request to the brokers, they send me a packet. How am I looking at the numbers? How are we learning those numbers? A lot of you are not accountants. I'm not an accountant, but I've had to learn how to understand the financial statements to know if it is a profitable deal or not. We've looked at landscaping companies. Omaba was asking earlier. Landscaping companies, equipment rental companies, luxury, different types of businesses. Excuse me. So you will learn how to how to screen them, how to decide on if it is a good deal or not. If you then want to now move it on to the next stage, which is like being under contract for real estate folks, but it's called being under LOI, letter of intent, where you make an actual offer to the business owner to say, this is how I want to buy your business. Now, that's finding, right? Now, when you then make the offer, how are you going to pay for it, right? So the fund part, how do you fund deals both traditionally and creatively? SBA, we talked about that earlier today, nicely 10% down, right? That's nice and conventional. But some deals are not SBA fundable. Some deals are bigger than the SBA will want to fund. How do you get those deals, right? If you could learn your toolkit, and I love how Mike teaches it, because everywhere else that I've been, they will teach you like 15,000 ways to fund the deal. And you're like, oh my gosh, that is so many ways. Like, what do I even do right now? But Mike teaches you just the ones that you will actually most likely use so that you're not overwhelmed, but you can go out there and actually start putting deals together creatively. Seller financing, financing the equipment, leverage buyouts, all the other things, earnouts, all these things, so that you can actually go out there and get deals done. So we're talking about funding deals traditionally, funding deals creatively, okay? Who here, if you could figure out how to fund, a $3 million deal creatively, will be happy with the $3 million deal, in the next couple of, months to a year? Who here will be happy with that? Type a 3 in the chat if that will be you. If you could figure out how to buy a $3 million business, right? Over however long it takes, People have different journeys, people have different speeds, whatever it takes, right? All right, so we'll learn how to find deals. We'll learn how to fund them. Now, in my mind, this is the most important part, right? I'm like, oh my goodness, just teach me how to find the deal, teach me how to fund the deal. But when you talk to pros like Mike, they're like, yeah, that part we got down. Now, when you have the business, then what? My mind hasn't even reached there yet. I'm like, just give me the business first, okay? When you have the business, then what? Mike has like a particular, like just a KPI sheet. That sheet is just like gold because it gives you like KPIs. KPIs are key performance indexes, basically like the numbers you can look at in the business to see how is the business doing right now and what can we change to improve the performance of the business, right? And then improve the cash flow, improve the profits, improve the take home, improve the operations, decrease the headaches, make the business more efficient. He talks about a business that they bought. It was a mailbox business. I think it was 3 years ago, 2022, that he bought that business. And in that business, there were maybe one or two people that were basically doing work all day that a computer could have done. So they got in the business. They were able to just like replace those two people with software, not losing their jobs, but repositioning those people into doing more revenue generating activities so that the business could produce more. Okay. Would you like to learn how to just like use a sheet and basically diagnose the business? Like, all right, what is this number? What is your AR? What is your this? And they're telling you like, okay, how can we bring that number down? And like, would you like to have that kind of a cheat sheet? Type a 4 in the chat if you like to have a cheat sheet like that, right? That you can look at and basically be like, okay, what is this number? Okay, we need to improve that. We need to improve that, right? All right, I'm seeing the 4s coming in. Good. So you learn how to scale the business, okay? You learn how to scale the business because one thing we didn't talk about, which is the next point, which is the exit, right? Is how Mike says buy a business from like 1 to 7 million? He doesn't say this out loud early, but the actual reason, I'm going to tell a secret, Mike. The actual reason is when you buy these businesses that are like in this smaller range, smaller than what private equity will buy, when you work on the business and you grow it a little bit, remember how the higher the profit, the higher the multiple they'll pay you? Mike turns around and then he sells the business after he's raised the profits a little bit. So let's say you bought that business. It was doing $1 million in profit, right? and you bought it for 3 million. Let's just say you bought it at a beautiful 3x. You now raise the profit to 3 million annually. That $3 million business in profit could now sell for 3.5, 4, heck, depending on where it is, maybe 5x, maybe you did a consolidation or whatever, a roll up, right? It's now more valuable. So now you just took your itty bitty $3 million business and converted it in, 18 months, 1 year, 2 years, whatever, into a $12 million business payday. Okay. If you weren't paying attention, this is where you start paying attention. Okay. Because if you're paying attention, you will see that this is what people are doing out there. This is what happens when Facebook goes and buys Instagram, and Facebook goes and buys WhatsApp, right? And Facebook, what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg just went and made this crazy offer to this AI guy because they grow by acquisition. The bigger your company gets, the more valuable it gets. And that, my dear, is how people grow their net worth. They don't grow their network by working extra shifts. They grow their network by acquiring smaller companies, increasing the valuation of their company, and multiplying or increasing their overall value by what's called arbitrage on the multiple. These are all technical terms and basically means the higher you go, the more you can get for the business. That is where the money is made. Okay, so at Catalyst Bootcamp, September 12th through the 14th. Millie, would you mind posting the link? I forgot to tell you to post the link earlier. My bad. My bad. Yeah, post the link in the chat so that people can start to check it out. If you would like to join us for Catalyst Bootcamp, okay, Millie is gonna post a link in the chat, and I'm actually gonna pause this real quick, because So Millie has put a link in the chat, and I am going to post here the new coupon there that will give you 20% off your registration for Catalyst, okay? Take note of the number 1 that I put next to it because it's early bird 1, okay? Because like I said, I just brought this back on just for a few more days, and the prior one actually expired. But when this goes up, it's going to go up. Now, let me tell you a bit about what's going to happen, not just with you. So like when you enroll in Catalyst, there are a few things that will happen. Number 1, I mentioned to you guys that Mike's software, the big deal machine he was using, who would like to get their hands on it? The same software he was using to screen for businesses that I said, he basically scrapes the internet every 4 hours to find businesses that have just been listed. It's such a time saver. Who would like to get their hands on it? Type a 5 in the chat. Type a 5 in the chat. Okay, all right. Okay, so when you enroll in Catalyst, okay, we really try to make this really sweet. You are going to get 6 months of access to Big Deal Machine, okay? Now, this is the part that may go unrecorded. I'm not sure if I should record this or not because you're here. But let's record it for those that will watch the replay tonight. If you sign up for Catalyst between tonight and tomorrow night, you're going to get 1 extra month, making it a total of 7 months of Big Deal Machine if you do that by tomorrow night. By tomorrow night. So that one is by tomorrow night. Early bird discount goes away in a couple of days. We'll let you know. It'll be done in a couple of days. That price, you will not see that again. But if you sign up within the next 24 hours, you will get a whole extra month. To put this in perspective, Mike actually retails this for $800 a month. Big Deal Machine, if you try to get it on your own, it's $800 a month. And it's valuable. I mean, people pay him for that. People pay him that. Okay.
I've got over 400 users that are signed up paying for it. So
he has over 400 users on Big Deal Machine. Okay. So you're going to be getting, so if you attend, period, you will get 6 months of access to it. But if you sign up between today and tomorrow, by 9 p.m. tomorrow, you will get an extra month, giving you basically an extra $800 value for a total value of $5,600. On that alone, I mean, the value you get from Big Deal Machine alone basically makes the entire boot camp almost free. All right. All right. So that's the first perk. I love all the perks we have in here. But wait, there's more, of course. Right? Okay. Who here, who here has a kid that they would like to be entrepreneurial? Who here has a kid that you're like, you know what, this whole job situation, I'm gonna need you to like, learn money the way I was not taught money. Okay. If you're saying, well, I didn't grow up, wealthy, I didn't grow up whatever, but I want to teach my kids how money is made. Type a six in the chat. If you have a kid or kids that are, able to learn, type a six in the chat. Do you know that if you have a paid ticket to Catalyst, your kid can come for free? Okay? Kids up to age 18 can attend for, sorry, 18 and under. So 18 included. 18 and under can attend for free. I was on Mike's Facebook group a little while ago, and somebody posted her kid came for the event, and within that year, her 14-year-old kid bought a med spa. 14 years old. Imagine setting up your kid with a med spa while they're still age 14. Just imagine it. Imagine the issues it takes out of your life when your kid learns to generate their own college tuition, right? With their med spa. Their med spa is paying their thing. Okay, so that's perk number 2. Who wants to hear perk number 3? Who wants to hear perk number 3? Type a 7 in the chat. All right, here. Who here has a business partner, a spouse, somebody that you're like, you know what? I cannot hear this alone. Let me bring up a Nigerian accent for you, okay? I cannot be the only person hearing this thing. Come and learn this thing with me. Let us learn it together. If you have a business partner, a spouse, somebody that you will be doing deals with, said business partner can come, like both of you can come at a partner price, which is basically a half off the other person's ticket. Okay? So, number 1, you're going to be in the room at this networking, event. And I'm calling it networking, but it's actually a boot camp, right? But you'll be in the room among colleagues, like-minded, goal-driven, goal-directed individuals, okay? Learning how you can acquire cash-flowing businesses that could potentially replace your income in 1 or 2 transactions, I'll say max, right? 2, you'll be learning how to find, to fund, to scale, and even to exit these cash-flowing businesses. Number 3, you will have access to the very software that Mike's team uses to source his own deals. Okay. Number 4, and I forgot to even mention, is when you find the businesses, when you want to start to make your offers, there are different documents that come into play. Your letter of intent, your contract, all these things. Mike actually has a vault. We call it the vault, okay? A vault of documents that he spent over $100,000 generating, okay, with attorneys and all of that. And in that vault, you will find templates for LOI, for, letters of intent I use for your offers. You'll find even things like, hiring guidelines. Like people like me that didn't go to business school, you now have hiring guidelines, things that you're like, oh my goodness, like when I buy the business, then what, right? Both you have things that are like contract style, template style, and then some that are just like knowledge style, like just deep wisdom. It's such a deep document vault that I just love. Okay. You get access to that as well. That one, the value on that alone, like if I were just standing there like, you know what, let Mike give me access to that, I would easily pay $5K for that vault alone. Okay. So the event, the networking, the partnerships, the potential partnerships that could be built in the room, the learning from Mike's, 20 years of experience, I would easily put that value at over $20,000, honestly, right? The big deal machine, retail value. If you get it at any point, $4,800 retail value. If you get it between today and tomorrow, then even a 7-month $5,600 retail value. Okay. The document vault, an easy $5,000 value all of that, having your kids free in the room, what is that worth? Opening their minds so early, changing their, like, breaking their paradigm and putting them into a brand new, like, bracket, mentally speaking, where they get to see, people that are actually operating in realms of wealth that they may not have conceived up to this point, flesh and blood living like them. What does that do to a child's mind? I can't even put a number on that. Okay. But tonight, while all of that value could easily be worth $40,000, and people will pay that, actually, like, people pay Mike $25,000. Am I right, Mike? Is it 25 or 100? $25,000 for a consulting fee for a half day consult. Am I
Yeah,
right with that number, Mike?
25,000 for a half day, or I'll do like corporate consulting for 100K for the year for the
There you
company.
go. Yeah. So 25K for a half day consult. And you get to basically learn from Mike for 3 days. Not for 20,000, not for 15, not even for 10, but for 3 whole days, just for $5,000. And depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching this right now, well, obviously you are in that early bird period, okay? It's going to keep coming up, okay? You're going to have your discount code. It's in the chat right there. Just make sure you put in that discount code, okay? And I know that there is a recording of this, so a few of you will be watching this as a replay. So I'm only going to leave the discount code in the comments here, okay? Because as the price changes, it's going to change. So use that discount code. It's going to be going away in a couple of days. Don't let it slip away. Get it. Come with your husband, come with your wife, come with your business partner. They get a built-in discount. Most, can I say most right now? A decent percentage of those who are coming right now are coming with partners, but it doesn't even matter. If you don't have a partner, just come by yourself. You don't need to wait until you find a partner. All right. So Millie, put that link again. Oh my goodness. Millie, post that link again so that way people don't have to search for it. That way they can start to enroll. Now I'm going to take a couple of questions. If you have any questions about any of the things that I've just shared so far, um, while you're while you're while you're asking your questions, I'm just going to show what the screen looks like right now, so that in case anyone is unfamiliar with the page, not knowing where to put what in. Actually, you know what? Let me make sure I change this code on the page so that people don't run into issues. All right. So just make sure you actually type in the code that is in the chat in spite of what is on the page, because we just changed that. Okay. All right. But I'm going to show you the page. So when you get on the page, this is what that page looks like. Okay. You use the code that is in the chat right now. Don't use this one because this one has expired. Okay. And you're going to scroll down. Actually, you don't even have to scroll. There's a big yellow button right here. You're going to click on sign up now, and you're going to enter your information. You're going to go to step 2. It's going to give you the pricing options. You're going to put in your credit card or whatever information, and you're going to enroll, okay? When you enroll, you're going to get an email from us. It'll probably come from my name, Chiagozie Fawole. It'll tell you, welcome to Catalyst. One thing I have heard is that some people, it's going into their spam folder. Please check your spam folder so that you don't miss out on important information about the boot camp. Okay? Because when you when you enroll, we'll send you information about the hotel, we'll send you information about, the airport and all that stuff. So just make sure you check your spam folder just in case it goes there. And now I'll take a couple of questions before we wrap this up. All right. Who here is going to be there? If you're going to, if you're going to be there, type a me in the chat. All right. If you're going to be a catalyst, type a me in the chat. All right. Okay. Yes, Edward, I know you're there. Okay. Yeah, Cassandra. Yes. Because I'm definitely going to be there. Well, I'm going to be there. I better type my own me in the chat, right? Awesome, awesome. I'm so excited. All right. So who has questions? What questions do you have about Catalyst, about the boot camp, about coming here? I forgot to mention there is a live stream option. There is a live stream option because that's a question that comes up. It is live stream, so you have to be at your computer while it's happening to actually watch it. But it's all the same. But yes, type of me in the chat if you'll be there. If you'll be there. Okay, very good. Now let me know any questions. What questions do you have? And I should get a charger for my phone. Did I bring my back? Oh, I did. Who has a question? Feel free to unmute yourself and just ask. While I grab my charger here so that I don't run out of juice. Any questions? Any questions about acquisitions, about buying businesses? Mike is still here.
We must have done a good job today, Chiagozie.
Yeah,
If they don't have any questions, we must have answered all of them.
I know, right? we must have whet the appetite. Either that or their minds are still spinning.
That's right. That's right.
Either that or their minds are still spinning.
That's right.
All right, who has questions? Questions. Okay, Millie, post that link in the chat again, as well as their code. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Yo, you're already in. Ebony, I'm already seeing you like on the front row. Okay, I see Ebony. I haven't even seen her face, but I can already picture her on the front row, like at the door, holding her. Listen, don't even play with me right now. I know my people. We've done this long enough. I know who I'm seeing in that door already. Millie, add the coupon code as well so that people have them side by side. Awesome. Yes. So, and I'm going to pause my recording while I say this, okay? Because some of you know what? I'll just leave the recording on. If you're getting if you're locking in this discount today, do you realize that it's saving you $1,000? So basically, if you lock in the discount tonight, okay, you are getting $1,000 off. $1,000 off the personal and $1,500 off the partner one. I don't know. I mean, I don't have to say much on that, but I should just highlight that because some people are visual learners. Some people hear by numbers. Some people may not have done that math to say, oh, 20% off, blah, blah, blah. But you better lock your discount in while you're thinking about it. All right, so Edward is asking, will we have access to a mentor during the acquisition process? So hold on. Okay, so basically, Edward, what you're gonna do is that when you come there, you're gonna learn how to go about finding your business. Okay. Now, Michael does consulting. We have an inner circle. We have all kinds of things that we can other ways you can possibly work with us. Down the line if you want. But come first and learn. Yeah, and then we have those options. Those options that we can tell you about as we move along. All right. Okay. So Namdi is asking, great question. How long does it typically take to purchase a business, and what are the typical things that slow down the process? Mike, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, so on-market stuff normally takes me on average around 6 months to get across the finish line. Off-market stuff normally averages around a year. And the difference in that is the stuff that's off-market, they don't have the documents prepared like the stuff that's on-market if they're going through a broker.
So just to break down the lingo, on market means a broker has already talked with the seller. They've already packaged them. They already have documents. They have like all their profit and loss statements, their balance sheet. They have everything already like in a nice little box. Off market is the one that I was describing earlier, where you're the one going to the person saying, hey, want to sell? They don't have stuff ready for you. Who knows when they filed their last taxes, right? They weren't thinking of selling. So it usually takes them a longer time to kind of get all that stuff together.
And
Um,
we'll go through that during the training on when you want to buy off market versus when you want to buy on market.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so Namdi, did that answer your question properly? Or did that help?
Awesome.
Okay, very good.
And Mark, let me answer his question for him
Yeah.
also. I want to buy something with 10 or more employees because it's more stable. If I lose one or two employees, you know, no big deal. If I've got two employees and I lose one employee, I lost 50% of my workforce. And I might get to keep the employee that's not worth having anyway. So if I've got 30 employees, it's a much more stable transition and a much more stable purchase.
Mm, yep. Mark, did that answer your question? Yeah.
Awesome.
Because like you said, some people think, well, a smaller business is going to be safer. A business with less employees will be easier to deal with. Uh-uh.
So, and it's more risky.
Yeah. 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 All right. Other questions. Those are great questions. Those are great questions. What other questions do you have? What industries do you avoid? That's from Namdi.
Um, I want to avoid restaurants. Margins is small. Any kind of trend business, any franchises. We all know someone who still has a garage full of fidget spinners that they bought that they were trying to resell back in the fidget spinner craze, right? So, any kind of trend stuff like that. Anything that's seasonal, I don't like seasonal businesses. You know, and I mean, there's a bunch of others that we'll get into. We'll dive deep into that and probably spend an hour, hour and a half on talking through that at the event.
Great. Yeah, that buy box with excluding restaurants. After you exclude them, you're now seeing them like all over the place. But then I just remember Mike in my head, nope, nope, not restaurants. Nope, nope.
Nope, nope. Restaurants are 16 hours a day, 8 days a week.
Other questions? Okay. Millie, also post the coupon link there, please. Post them together next time that you post both of them. Okay, very good. Thanks. Other questions, guys. Okay, so Millie has the links there again. So click on the link and sign up. Again, if you sign up before tomorrow evening, you get an extra month of Big Deal Machine. And Emmanuel is asking, is the virtual same cost as the in-person? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's funny when I hosted my first event, it was back in 2022, my first in-person event. I thought, oh yeah, virtual. It's just Zoom, right? You just turn on Zoom, right? Like that's what it is. I learned my lesson. No, it's not the same.
Nope, nope, nope.
So we even consider like, should we even do it virtually? It costs so much to add virtual. And it's like, well, I know some people really want to learn this stuff. So yes, let's include virtual. But yeah, you definitely want to, if you like, the only reason to get virtual is if you absolutely cannot be in the room. You definitely want to be in the room. You want
Yep.
to be in the room. There's just something life transforming about being in the room that I say, like even and because it's the same price, if you buy it as a virtual or whatever, can you start the 6-month access timings acquisition program later? We are granting access at the event. So well, if you get it, well, actually you're in already. So you get your big deal machine. You know what? I'll let Mike answer that question. I'm not sure why you would want to.
Yeah, I think you want to start it immediately,
Yeah, you want to start it immediately.
so you can start learning and seeing what's out there.
I almost forgot to mention our thing in 2 weeks. So those of you that sign up in this early bird phase will also get access to the Ask Michael Anything session that we're going to be doing on August 23rd. So basically, we're going to be hosting like a 2 hour session August 23rd, where you get to bring all your acquisition questions. So all of that is going to be happening. And so it's basically like an extra session for those who are coming for the event, either virtual or in person. But that's something that I forgot to mention. So sorry, guys. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions before we let Mike go back to and me actually. I got kids. Three of
So
them. Three of them. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right.
I appreciate you letting me be on with you guys
Awesome.
tonight.
So Samsung, I don't know your name, Samsung. Samsung, tell me your actual name. Tell me your actual name because I don't like calling you Samsung. What is your name? My pleasure, Ebony. I'll see you in September. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, Dr. Aliyu. Oh, nice to meet you. Okay, so Dr. Aliyu is asking passive businesses you will recommend.
It just depends on what you like, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I buy. I don't buy anything I don't like or you know that I'm not interested in.
yeah,
I'm not going to go buy. I don't know. Just if I'm not interested in it personally or my son, I normally don't fool with it. I mean, you can make anything passive as long as it's generating enough income and you got a good enough quarterback. So I mean, it doesn't matter.
that's, I was just waiting for you to say that. In our physician spaces, you hear a lot of people talking about passive, passive, passive. With the businesses we're talking about, you could take anything as active as anything is, but if you put the quarterback in place, that's the key. Like Mike is not teaching you, like some people, how to go find a business that you get active in. No, we're talking about how to buy any business and make it a lifestyle business because it's not you doing that day-to-day stuff.
Right.
Okay, Mark is asking, how about online businesses?
I don't like online businesses. I had some online stuff. I mean, I was doing good. I was doing well. But you're Amazon or Walmart or Shopify. You're their slave at that point.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, it's just brutal. And if they want to change their rules or any of that stuff, they can freeze your money and tell you sorry.
yeah, that's very true. And you were doing like, what was it, like 54 million or something with one of them?
I
Your
was doing somewhere
e-com business.
between 38 and 42 million a month. Yeah, I was getting on with getting on.
Did you sell
But
that one?
huh? I
Did
did sell it. Yeah.
you build it? Wow.
Yeah. 20 and 22, I think. 21 or 22. 21, I think. But it was horrible. I mean, you were constantly you felt like the circus clown. You were constantly juggling the rules that they were making. And they might make a rule, change a rule today and freeze $500,000 or $1 million worth of your money. And then you got to go to them and beg to get it back.
Hmm.
They still have over $1 million of my money frozen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why, man, it just I didn't like it.
Yeah. Not to even mention now these days, like, I mean, just going back to good old boring basic things
Yeah,
that
I like something that's boring and profitable.
yeah, boring and profitable. Boring and profitable. All right. Any other questions before we wrap this thing up? Post that link again, Millie, so that those who are sort of like teetering on the edge, trying to think about it, trying to talk to their husband, listen. If you would buy a purse, okay, without a whole family meeting, you can buy your ticket to this event without a whole family meeting. I'm just going to say that, okay? I'm just going to leave that right there. I don't know where that came from, but I love that I said it. Early bird. All right, guys. Okay, so if there are no further questions, Aya, you're welcome. I'm so glad you all came tonight. I hope you had fun. If you had fun tonight, please type a 3 in the chat. Okay, I have so much fun when I do this. Okay, I have a blast. I like talking with you all. I like bringing Mike on. I like just having this chance to share with you sort of what's out there so that the next time somebody tries to wring your neck to take extra call for $200 a day, you're going to be like, I could have just bought that business. And then it'll grind you to go get that business yourself. Now you can't say you don't know. Now you can't say you're stuck. Now you can't say, let me not even get on that soapbox this evening, okay? Because in medicine, and I know a lot of you are in medicine here, the system is changing and very often not in our favor, okay? When you learn how to acquire a business, guess what you're doing? You're taking those golden handcuffs, you're basically getting your own key, turning the thing, taking the handcuffs off, tossing it, and saying, now watch me. Okay? Put yourself in a position where your employers are looking at you and going, what can we do to keep you? Okay? And the way to do that is to secure for yourself something that makes your salary a nice option, right? All right, guys, it has been so much fun and my pleasure. I will see you all hopefully in September. Take care, guys. Good night.
Thank you.